Welcome to Ventichic. Let's clear something up right away. Rolex watches in the public eye are often seen as expensive, with some reaching staggering prices like Paul Newman's Daytona, which sold for a jaw-dropping $18 million. However, there's a wide spectrum of Rolex timepieces, and some are more attainable for those looking to make their Rolex dream a reality. Today, I've got 4 fantastic Rolex models representing 4 iconic Rolex lines that offer a more accessible entry point into the Rolex world. So let's dive in. Number 1. Rolex Air-King. The Rolex Air-King is often one of the most underrated and overlooked models in the Rolex lineup. Back during World War II, Rolex introduced the Air series, which included timepieces like the Air Giant, the Air Lion, and the Air Tiger. While these watches were only temporary additions to Rolex's offerings, they paved the way for the birth of the Air-King in 1945. These watches were designed as pilot's watches and featured a traditional 34mm case size that remained a staple in the collection for many decades to come. When you're in the market for a pre-owned Rolex Air-King, it's important to consider the different reference numbers to find the one that suits your style and preferences. Let's take a closer look at some key Air-King references. Number 1. Rolex Air-King 5500, 1957 to 1989. This reference was introduced in 1957 and had one of the longest production runs among Air-King models, spanning from 1957 to 1989. It's a classic choice with enduring appeal. Number 2. Rolex Air-King 5700, date model to 1958. The 5700 was the date model edition of the Air-King line and was introduced in 1958. It's notable for being the only Air-King model to feature a date window. Number 3. Rolex Air-King 14000, 1989 to 2000. Moving into a more contemporary era, the 14000 was introduced in 1989 and retained the classic design elements from earlier Air-King models. It was equipped with a reliable caliber 3000 movement. Number 4. Rolex Air-King 14010, engine turn bezel. This variation of the 14000 features an engine turn bezel, adding a touch of sophistication to the design. And number 5. Rolex Air-King 14000M, 2000 and onward. The 14000M was introduced in 2000 and featured the caliber 3130 movement. It represents a more modern iteration of the Air-King. The Rolex Air-King, despite its 34mm case size, wears larger on the wrist due to its Oyster case design, making it a great option for those with wrist sizes ranging from 6 to 7.5 inches. The 14000M in particular is a standout choice, known for its contemporary appeal. It boasts a striking silver dial with luminescent markers and comes with an original Oyster flip-lock bracelet, making it a stunning and practical choice for Air-King enthusiasts. So, if you're in search for a timeless and accessible Rolex Air-King model, these references offer a wide range of options to explore. When considering the Rolex Air-King, it's important to note that prices can vary considerably. However, for many of the steel options from the references I mentioned, you'll typically find them online in the range of approximately $2,500 to $4,000. This price range offers a diverse selection of Air-King models to explore. Number 2. Rolex Oyster Perpetual. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual holds a special place in the world of horology, and it's not just a Rolex icon but an industry icon. Its roots trace back to the original Rolex Oyster, introduced in 1926. This watch gained fame when British swimmer Mercedes Glatze wore it around her neck during her daring attempt to cross the English Channel in 1927. Although she didn't succeed in her swim, Rolex made history with the creation of the world's first waterproof watch, a feat that coined the term waterproof, a term we still use today, although we now refer to water resistance with various depth ratings. Over the years, the Oyster Perpetual evolved, incorporating different features that define the watch we know today. A significant milestone was the introduction of the Perpetual rotor in 1931, featuring unidirectional winding. The Oyster Perpetual has been one of Rolex's most extensively explored and tested models, resulting in a wide array of sizes and styles within its lineup. The diversity of the Oyster Perpetual is best exemplified by the multitude of reference numbers available. While I'll touch on a few notable ones, it's important to recognize that there are many more to explore. Number 1. References from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, such as the 1002, 1003, and 1005, are of historical significance. Number 2. The Rolex 1005 in particular stands out as a personal favorite among the Oyster references. Number 3. Additionally, references like the 6002, 6580, 6064, and 6085 offer unique choices, although they may come at a slightly higher price point. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual lineup is a treasure trove of options, allowing enthusiasts to find a timepiece that suits their tastes, preferences, and budget within this iconic Rolex family. Number 3 and number 4. Rolex Date and Rolex Date. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual and many models from the 1990s and early 2000s often come with a traditional sizing of 34mm. These watches, particularly on the women's side, offer excellent value and are often available at relatively low prices. You can find a variety of sizes within this range, with women's watches typically ranging from sub-millimeter sizes up to around $3,500 to $4,000, making them accessible options for collectors. One standout model to consider is the reference 1002. This Rolex Oyster Perpetual features a 34mm case, a striking blue dial, and luminescent markers that beautifully contrast with the dial. It's powered by the reliable Rolex caliber 1570 and dates back to the mid-1970s, offering both style and heritage. Now, let's shift our attention to two closely related Rolex models, the Rolex Date and the Rolex Date. The Rolex Date, introduced in 1945 for the brand's 40th anniversary, was a pioneering automatic watch featuring both date and day windows. Its classic 36mm case design remains consistent, with newer Day 2 models offering a 41mm case. In contrast, Rolex explored different case sizes in the 1950s and 60s, giving rise to the 34mm Rolex Date, akin to the Datejust. What distinguishes the Date is its 34mm case and 19mm lug width, a tad unconventional compared to the Datejust's 20mm. Both collections offer diverse references, but generally, Rolex Date and Datejust models range between $2,500 and $5,000 online, with Datejust models often leaning toward the lower end and Date models sometimes commanding higher prices. While exceptions exist, this price range is typical for these iconic Rolex collections. Now, let's explore some notable references within the Datejust collection, starting with the Datejust models. Number 1. Rolex Datejust 1600, 1601, and 1603, 1960s to 1970s. These references from the 60s and 70s offer excellent value and have a strong collector following. They come in various style colors, including the iconic tapestry and Buckley dials, providing a range of options to choose from. Number 2. Rolex Datejust 16030, 16013, 16233, and 16200, late 70s and early 80s. If you prefer something a bit more recent, these Datejust references from the late 70s and early 80s are worth considering. They feature different variations and dial options, reflecting the era's design trends. Due to their mass production, these models are often more affordable. And number 3, Rolex Datejust 16234 from the 1990s. The 16234 represents the 1990s era of Datejust watches. These models feature applied indices, clean lume, and Roman numerals outlining the outer bezel. They're powered by the reliable caliber 3135 movement. Watches from the 1990s are starting to gain recognition as vintage pieces, making them attractive buys at the moment. However, prices may rise as they continue to age. Considering that many contemporary Datejust models are priced significantly higher, these older versions offer a compelling choice for collectors. While the Rolex Date collection may not have as many references as the Datejust, there are still excellent options available. For example, the Rolex Date 15200, which I have here, features a stunning silver dial and a 34mm case, slightly smaller than the Datejust's 36mm case. This model includes Tritium hands and is powered by the automatic caliber 3135 movement. And that's a wrap. Thank you for being here with us at Ventichic. Don't forget to like and comment on this video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update. See you in our next video.